You guys asked for it, so here it is. This is my full review of the Vinovo S6 Plus, the $25 Galaxy S6 clone. To be honest, I've never really bought a supposed smartphone at this price at all. I mean, the basic Android phones start at around $50, so it's safe to say I didn't have a clue what to expect, but upon taking it out of the box I was actually rather impressed. It does look and feel a lot like basic Android phones costing perhaps twice as much as this. Furthermore, they've done a great job imitating the Galaxy S6. Although it's only 4 inches and it has thicker bezels and not quite the same build quality, it does actually look a lot like what you might expect the Galaxy S6 Mini, for example, to look like. It also comes with a rather nice looking case, which might end up costing you $5 on its own. And then we also have a 1000 mAh battery, which sounds puny, but don't forget this is using ultra low power components and it's not running Android, so this is obviously not going to drain as much power as something like the Galaxy S6. But one real oversight here is the huge amounts of fingerprints this thing attracts. I mean, the S6 is bad, but the Vinovo S6 Plus is just on a whole new level. Having said that, both the phone and the case are made from beautiful materials. For $25, you're actually getting some very high quality piece of kit. It also has dual SIM card support and SD card up to 8GB. That is absolutely necessary. The internal storage is absolutely dreadful. The first thing I tried after turning it on was to put an MP3 file on it and it couldn't take it, there wasn't enough storage. That's a 7MB file. We then have the 4-inch display with an unspecified resolution. Safe to say it's not pretty. Viewing angles top out at around 150 degrees, which is god awful compared to current smartphones which do anywhere from 178 to 180. The colours aren't awful, but the contrast is seriously lacking. But the very worst part of this display, it's a resistive screen. I've not used one of these in 3 years, and so actually operating the S6 Plus feels like you've gone back a generation, or 10. So as much as this may look like Android, it's definitely not. It's a Samsung-esque skin on a Java operating system, similar to the sort of first touchscreen phones that came out. Now the buttons on the bottom aren't capacitive, they're physical, but they do work and they're fairly responsive. Now one thing we really do need to keep in mind is the price, and I know I've said this before, but it only costs $25, so if you actually put that into perspective, that's the cost of 5 hamburgers. You know, even the cheapest other phones that I actually review, these sort of Android devices, they start at around $80, $90. So, you know, you could already buy 3 or 4 of these for that price. And it's worth not forgetting that you're still getting the basic functionality of those phones. You can make calls, you can type text messages, you can change settings, you can use very basic apps, things like calculators, stopwatch, etc. Unfortunately, that's basically where the good news ends. 50% or so of the apps just don't work, and don't forget you can't download any more here. You get all sorts of errors from drive not working to SD card not detected to no service found. And I mean, some of the errors I don't even understand. I mean, look at this. And then the camera, well, I don't even think Potato quite covers it. This is the worst camera I think I may have ever seen. There is no front camera on this device and the black has a whopping 0.3 megapixels. Its photos are washed out, they lack colour, they lack vibrance, they lack richness. But to be honest, I'd be surprised if most people could even tell just because of how poor the resolution is. Now I have to say I really like the case. If there's one thing that Vinovo got right, it's the way this phone is presented. Both with and without the case, it really does look like quite a marvel for a budget piece of kit, and definitely a step above similarly priced alternatives from Samsung or Nokia. Having said that though, this little window is totally useless, with the already fairly unresponsive touchscreen becoming a total nightmare to use. I really do feel a lot of the time when using this phone that I would much rather have no touchscreen than a resistive one. The fact of the matter is that it's just a last-gen technology, and without a stylus, using your finger, it's almost impossible to use efficiently. There is a saying often used to actually describe something which does everything reasonably well but nothing particularly well. We would call it the jack of all trades. But even with its rock bottom price and rather impressive imitation of the Galaxy S6, the Vinovo S6 Plus creates a category of its own, namely the jack of no trades. This phone doesn't really have a place for any user. For someone wanting a more complex system with downloadable apps, you have to go for an Android device, even if it's a cheaper one. If you pay twice as much and even get the most budget of Android devices, you're getting huge amounts more functionality and support. For someone wanting a more simpler experience and not wanting to sort of delve into the world of smartphones, then there's the option of button phones, which just surpass this one in just about every single way. You don't have to deal with unresponsive touchscreens or seriously poor cameras. Unfortunately, it's a no from me. Thanks for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video.